Well, I'll reply to that question specifically on my area of expertise, which is in the renewable transport fuels. And I think there are huge challenges to try and get biotechnology to a place where they can create fuels, transportation fuels, at the kind of scale that you will be able to get enough in at a cheap enough price for the consumer to actually use these fuels. If they're too expensive, they simply won't be used. And the irony is that the renewable fuels, the biofuels from biotechnology, live in exactly the same space as fossil fuels. The two coexist, indeed, they get blended into the same tank at the moment in the car. So to be able to live together and still compete together is really very, very difficult. So there's a big challenge on the biotech industry to move into a much bigger market at scale. And I think the biotech world has always been slightly miniaturized and it needs to broaden out. Again, looking again at the transportation world, I actually think that transport is one of those areas where we need a lot of disruptive innovation. I think in the transport world, we've had a mentality that says we need more of what we've got more people, therefore we'll have more cars, and we'll have more problems, and we'll have more climate change, and that is actually not the way to go. I think we do need some very, very disruptive answers, and I think that we need to make it cool not to use a car. We need to make it really cool to start sharing with people in terms of resources. So how we do that, I don't know, and it's not a lot to do with biotech, but it's got a lot to do with the leaders of the world. So the more disruptive innovation, the happier I will be, and then I can rest easy and give it to someone else. I'm not sure that when it comes to renewable energy technologies, you can make a distinction necessarily between Europe and the world. I think that the key issue is at the moment, particularly now, fossil fuel is so cheap that is actually what people are going to go for. The biggest force for innovation is a high oil price, and that's where we were a few years ago, and now we've got a surprisingly low one, I think, as far as most people are concerned. So if you're in that particular place, then it has to be public policy that drives the renewable technologies, which will come into their own, frankly, when the oil price goes back up again, which it will do. So the biggest obstacle is getting the right policies in place. And it's more of an obstacle than you might think, because there is a law of unintended consequences, and the whole debate on indirect effects has hit us in the transport world very, very heavily. So I think we do need to have a policy area that will enable the renewable technologies to get to a place where they can stand on their own. Unfortunately, I don't think it's now with cheap oil, but it will be in the future. And then public policy can stand back. The other thing that I do think we need to do is that we need some of the establishment in the fuel industry to embrace renewable technologies. They tried a little bit, but the lure of cheap oil is very great. So let them get into renewables again. Let us have policies that actually work. And I'll probably be shot for saying this, but with a bit of luck, we'll have a high oil price, and then we'll get real innovation as well.